Hey y'all. Um, it's your girl Brenda, and I have to speak on the crap that has been happening the last 2 days in our country. Um, I have actively tried to stay away from politics and all things political in regards to my blog page, only because I do so much of it on my personal page, and a lot of my personal friends who are friends with me on my personal page on Facebook also follow me on Big Girl Etiquette, and I'm sure they see enough from me on my personal page. But this has just affected my spirit in such a way to where I can't be silent on this. And I just read something on Raw Story that quite frankly pissed me off. Um, Peter Sevchinovic, he's one of the people whose picture has gone viral for being one of the angry white nationalists in Charlottesville who were there to protest um, all things that were not white and male. Let's just call it what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. That's what they were there protesting. If you are black, if you are Latin, if you are Asian, if you are Polynesian, if your skin is of a black, brown, or yellow hue, they were protesting you. So let's just be perfectly clear about that. But he is quoted as saying, "I came to this march for the message that white European culture has a right to be here just like every other culture. It is not perfect. There are flaws to it, of course. However, I do believe that the replacement of the statue, meaning the statue of Robert E. Lee, that the government there in Charlottesville wants removed for good reason. Um, I do believe that the replacement of the statue will be the slow replacement of white heritage within the United States and the people who fought to defend and built their homeland. Robert E. Lee is a great example of that. He wasn't a perfect man, but I want to honor and respect what he stood for during his time." Okay. The stench of his stupid is so offensive to me, it's making me nauseous. Robert E. Lee fought for the Confederacy. Robert E. Lee fought to keep slavery legal. Robert E. Lee fought for the ideologies of Southern states, which at the time was mainly to own other human beings, to treat black and brown people literally like cattle that were bought and sold and traded and whipped like cattle. That is what Robert E. Lee fought for. Let's not mistake that. Let's not mince words about that. That is what the Civil War was about. The Civil War was about the right to own slaves. You can dress it up any way you want to. You can make it smell and sound and look pretty if you want to. But the truth is the truth. And the truth is that the Civil War was about the right to own slaves. Period. And those of you who are still claiming that the Confederate flag doesn't represent that, it just represents the South, bullshit. That's exactly what the Confederate flag represents. It represents the Civil War, which is fought over the right to own other human beings. Period. And the fact that this man, this little boy, because he's only 20, so the fact that this little boy has the audacity and has the unmitigated gall to say, "No, I'm not racist. I love all people." No, no, you don't. And yes, yes, you are. The very ideology behind what you were supporting with your protest, that, the rhetoric that you were pushing, this thought that somehow, white people are in jeopardy here in the United States, which couldn't be further from the truth, because the bottom line is that white men run everything. So the fact that this little boy thinks it's okay to try to preserve his culture. What culture exactly are you trying to preserve? Because y'all run everything. Everything. You guys are in charge of everything. You run our government. You run our Fortune 500 businesses. You guys run everything. And you are the very definition of privilege. The fact that you can even fix your mouth to spout such bullshit is the very definition of privilege. So is that what it is you really want to protect? You just want to protect your privilege? Your privilege is not now, nor has it ever been in jeopardy. I'm just tired, y'all. I'm tired. As an African American woman, as a black woman whose parents, when my dad died 2 years ago, he was 71. My mother just celebrated her 72nd birthday. And yes, I was able to witness with them our country electing its first African American president, first black president. Actually, no, he is African American. His father is African, so he's literally African American. And what a blessing that was, and what an awesome moment that was. That is an experience that I will never forget, and I will always cherish. But even with that, we're still fighting the same fight that my parents fought, that their parents fought, and their parents before them, and so on and so forth. When does it end? When does the foolishness end? When will we all be able to just get along? When will we all be treated equally? Black, white, gay, straight, male, female. When? How are we still fighting the same fight that our parents fought? How is that even a possibility in 2017? And people like to say that this is President Obama's fault. That, racism came out of the woodworks with President Obama. No, it didn't. No, it hasn't. President Obama's presidency just made racist people bolder and made them unapologetic. President Obama is the first president of the truly digital age. His presidency was ushered in by social media, which has shined a light on everything. Social media has shined a light on everything good, everything negative, and everything in between. So, yeah, the racist rhetoric and the racist attitudes and this feeling of division, it's more prominent now than it's probably ever been. Or let me rephrase that. It seems more prominent now than it's ever been, particularly to those of you that it doesn't typically affect. It affects you now because you can't get away from it. It's on your social media, it's on the news, it's everywhere you look. We are constantly seeing articles or interviews or videos of these things that are meant to separate. And these things are meant to cause division. This racist rhetoric that's happening around our country. And people like to blame President Obama, and you can't do that because it's always been here. You're just not paying attention because we have a black president, or we had a black president. That's number one. Number two, those of you who voted for number 45, I will not address him by his name and I will not call him my president. But those of you who voted for 45, I do believe that many of you had good intentions. I don't believe that every single person that voted for 45 is racist. That is a broad generalization that a lot of people like to make. I don't believe that. Not for a second. I do believe that there are some of you who felt like he was the lesser of two evils. Unfortunately, I also believe that you made a terrible mistake. And I also believe that who he is as a man, as a human being, as now the leader of the free world, what we're seeing now is nothing new to those of us who have been paying attention. What he's doing, his behavior or lack thereof, is exactly what I expected. And it's exactly what those of us who paid attention from the beginning expected. You know, there were people who thought that once he got into office that he would grow up. Well, guess what? He's 200 days in, and he's yet to do anything meaningful. And it would be easy to pin the division on him too, but the division was always there. He just became the ringleader. He became their icon. He became their source of inspiration because he did nothing to stop it at his rallies, on Twitter, in his interviews. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, oftentimes he promoted it. You know, anyone who watched any of the videos from his rallies, when people of color were being kicked out, you know, he's chanting along, "Get them out of here. It's okay if you rough them up. If anyone goes to jail, I'll pay your court fees." You know, that particular event actually happened about 5 minutes from where I live, where the older white man punched a black guy in the face as he was being escorted out by 5 state troopers. You know, the guy being escorted out was probably $150 soaking wet, but it took 5 state troopers to escort him out, and not one of them did anything when he was punched in his face. Luckily, the man did go to court, and the man was fined, and the man, you know, apparently was embarrassed and cried his eyes out in the court, which was shown on the news. And no, President 45 did not pay his court fees. But, yeah, that's the type of shit that was ushered in with this presidency. That was encouraged by it. That made these people emboldened by it. And you all knew this was going to happen. And you didn't care because it wouldn't affect you. So, I saw a lot of posts after the election. You know, I'm so sick and tired of being called racist because I voted for 45. Okay, you personally may not be racist, but your vote says that you don't give a damn about racism because it doesn't affect you. Your vote said that you don't give a damn about me or people who looked like me when racist attitudes rear their heads. So, I'm going to stop now because I feel like I'm rambling, but something's got to give because our country as a whole, we're in dire straits right now, and we are in a seriously, seriously sad state of affairs. And, you know, with everything that's happening with Korea and Venezuela and, you know, the consistent threat of the Middle East, we can't afford to implode here at home. We just can't do it. We can't afford it. So something's got to be done. We've got to find a way to unite and come together and just try to breed love and positivity into our communities and the people around us and into our country as a whole. Something's got to be done because we can't continue like this. So, with that said, I'm going to say goodnight. Thank you for listening to my rambling. And pray for our country, y'all, because we're in bad shape.